Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens. We're looking at another great afternoon across Central Ohio. Things remaining pretty quiet across the region for much of the past forecast period, and the chances for rain remain to be pretty slim. Over my shoulder, you can see a far look ahead toward the weekend where we maybe could get some rain, but in general, it's just not going to change the pattern anytime soon. So we're looking at more unfortunate dry days ahead. We'll keep a close eye on that here in your forecast. Your 10 Weather Impact. What we're looking at here is going to be climbing toward 90 as we head through the end of this week. Things getting kind of hot across Central Ohio. The sun a little bit unrelenting. We're just not seeing an end to this sunny pattern anytime really soon, maybe next week, but we keep kind of pushing that rain chance a little bit further down the road seemingly every day. Rain chances in general remaining quite low across Central Ohio. Certainly the case this afternoon. Hardly even a cloud across the region. Lots of blue skies over downtown. Those temperatures are up into the 80s, 85 degrees here now across Central Ohio, with feels like temperatures surprisingly not too bad, even a couple degrees lower, just because it's not very humid air. It's warm, it's toasty, but it's not oppressively humid summer like we get a lot of times here during the year. So not too bad, all things considered. Mid to low 80s across lots of portions of Central Ohio this afternoon. Some of the warm spots out there: MacArthur at 86, Bell Fountain closing in on 90. You guys sitting at 89 this hour, 83 in Mount Gilead, 85 here again in Columbus. The next 12 hours out there, temperatures will stay pretty warm this afternoon, upper 80s for the next couple of hours with plenty of sunshine out there. As soon as the sun goes down, we'll kind of repeat the pattern we've been in through most of the overnights, which is a lot of clear skies, cooling temperatures, comfortable through the overnight, and by tomorrow morning, low 60s again expected here across Central Ohio. Speaking of things to expect out there, one kind of annoyance if you're outside will be the ragweed. If you suffer from those allergies, conditions remain high. Grasses and mold remain in the low category. Can't get much pollen out of those with any kind of real rain. The lawn's not very active right now, and trees not in season across Central Ohio. Again, like we're talking about, while that may be a little bit uncomfortable for the allergy sufferers, the rest of the air, not bad. Dew points out there hanging around in the 40s. Highest dew point 61 over in Logan. So for the most part, again, not a lot of stickiness to the air. Very dry conditions, especially for this time of the year. We take a look at the humidity forecast out there, and that pattern just kind of continues to stay in the dry range across the region through the next week. So again, just not really looking at much chance for moisture in the atmosphere, and it's going to keep rain chances low in addition to keeping those temperatures quite high. We're going to see those temperatures this afternoon again, upper 80s. We'll continue on through the upper 80s as we head through the weekend and into next week. Again, we got that forecasted high of a 90 for tomorrow, so it is going to be kind of toasty to end the week here across Central Ohio. Those rain chances again just remaining pretty much not a factor of the forecast, and certainly not something that could cool us down. We got a little pop-up chance out there tomorrow, Saturday, maybe Sunday, but again, as far as meaningful widespread rain, just not going to happen. We have that chance in there next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, could get some rain, but if you've been watching our forecasts for about the last week, the back end keeps having these rain chances that pop up because it looks like we might be able to break this pattern, but then the pattern holds strong and we got to keep pushing the rain chances down the road. So we're not promising that this one's going to make it here either. We could start to see this backslide toward the end of the forecast once again. It's one of those things where a drought weather pattern kind of leads to a more drought weather pattern because there's just not a lot of moisture to work with in the environment. And that's what we're seeing out there this afternoon. Here's the big picture. Satellite radar across Ohio. We're not really even getting cloud cover out there. You can see a little bit of cloud coming off of the lake up there, but then immediately kind of going away as it gets into Ohio, into that dry air. There's moisture far to the west and up to the northwest. A little bit of activity in Michigan, more activity out toward Iowa, but none of this is heading our way anytime soon. Hour by hour forecast through this afternoon, things remaining pretty quiet across central Ohio. Maybe a stray cloud comes up in the peak of the afternoon, but that would be about it. We're staying quiet into Friday morning as well, waking up to sunshine out there as you head out the door tomorrow. The difference tomorrow, it's going to be just a little bit hotter. We might be able to get enough instability in the afternoon to get us some pop-up showers and storms. You can see that coming here by about 4 or 5 o'clock. These would mostly be to our north and east, and the models here now starting to push those intensities down even more than if you watched us at noon today. They were a little bit more active then, not quite the same now, but again, that pop-up risk, it's small. We called it 20% then, we'll call it 20% now. Don't expect to see much chance for that as we head into Saturday. Kind of a similar thing. We start off the day pretty quiet, few clouds. As we get into the afternoon, maybe the heat of the day can fuel a pop-up shower or a storm. Those again, few and far between, and not going to be drought-busting rainfall. That's just not coming as we head through this weekend. Long-range forecast as we get into early next week. Again, we get possibly some moisture that could make its way into the region on Monday into Tuesday. And I know this looks like a lot, but this isn't really any different than the last couple of models through this week that have also showed rain coming at the back end of the forecast. So again, if that high pressure ridge just kind of stays in place over Ohio, this may never happen, and we could definitely see that being a real possibility. The long-term outlook here beyond the 7-day, we're staying above normal when it comes to temperatures through the end of September and the start of October, and unfortunately trending near to below average when it comes to rainfall. So we're not seeing that pattern break either. It's another dry pattern as it continues. Here's your 10 weather impact 7-day forecast. 88 your high this afternoon here in Columbus. Those temperatures across the rest of central Ohio, not too much different. We're going to stay in the mid to upper 80s for most of us this afternoon. Again, we'll get a little hotter as we head toward tomorrow. That high up to about 90. We'll stay in the upper 80s Saturday and Sunday. And then this cool down next week is contingent on this rain materializing. If this starts to look drier in the coming days through the weekend, expect us to adjust these temperatures upward when it comes to the forecast, because without that rain, this heat pattern is not going to break, and we will stay above average when it comes to those temperatures heading into next week. So again, this pattern just kind of locked in across central Ohio. If you're a fan of those warm days, certainly going to be a good forecast for you. But if you're not a fan of the summer heat, don't expect, well, to get outside without needing a fan or staying inside with the AC anytime soon. And moving on from the forecast, well, we've talked several times over the past year about the importance of funding and collecting weather data to create an accurate forecast. And now the state of Minnesota, 14 brand new weather stations are up and running this year as part of the state's agricultural weather network. Meteorologist Adam Del Rosso shares that story.
There's more than just corn growing in this field outside of Hastings. So is Minnesota's Agriculture Weather Network with the installation of this massive weather station.
We're measuring everything between 33 feet above the ground surface to 7 feet below the ground surface.
That includes extra information about wind, radiation, soil temperature, and moisture that isn't normally collected by existing sensors at airports.
It's useful for the farmers both in terms of helping them manage some of their inputs, so that is water for irrigation, fertilizer, and manure. But it's also useful for the broader society.
That's because the data and pictures are also used by emergency managers and the National Weather Service to help with issuing watches and warnings. 14 stations have been installed across southern Minnesota this year alone, with even more to come.
The ultimate goal is to have a weather station such that any crop field is within 20 miles of one of those stations. We currently have a total of 60 weather stations in Minnesota. The goal is to have about 100.
Because North Dakota already has a similar network, Minnesota has partnered with them to host the data. But they say it's also the collaboration with farmers and local agencies that make this project possible.
We've had farmers tell us they need more tools and resources. We couldn't do it by ourselves, so we called in state resources, and Department of Ag was able to help us out with that.
In Dakota County, Adam Del Rosso, WCCO News.
And speaking of collecting weather data, our data has been showing us that increasing drought pattern across central Ohio, and with no meaningful rainfall in sight and then, well, this month, and the last rainfall coming well early in the month on top of the top 5 driest August. Those drought conditions continue to spread across not just the 10 TV viewing area, but the entirety of Ohio. The new data in this afternoon only confirms that pattern. Let's take a look at the latest update. This was last week's drought conditions, and things were already getting very dry by that point. Pretty much the entirety of the 10 TV viewing area at that time had at least abnormally dry conditions, if not moderate drought. And the newest data that just came out a few hours ago this afternoon shows that pattern getting worse. We're talking moderate drought for almost the entirety of the 10 TV viewing area. The last holdouts up toward Mansfield, Bucyrus that had no abnormally dry conditions are now into that category. And take a look out here, Newark toward Coshocton down to Cambridge. All of those areas up to severe drought. So we're starting to see some of those very dry conditions continue to spread their way across central Ohio. Speaking of the rainfall, again, we just haven't had any out there. The only rainfall this month, just over quarter inch. That was back on the 4th. Since then, we've pushed down into a very dry condition, again, following that top 5 driest August. Right now, just for this month, we are over 1.5 inches below normal for where we should be. That would be around 1.86 inches of rainfall, and we've just added nothing to that pot out there. And take a look at this. This is the biggest picture of Ohio right now. The entire state under some kind of unusually dry condition, almost the entire state under a drought. And then we've added extreme drought to those far eastern counties over into northern portions of West Virginia, almost into Pennsylvania. And this is where we start to get a little bit more concerned, because once we get into those extreme and exceptional drought levels, we might start seeing burn bans issued across central Ohio. I don't think we're far away from seeing that. We're likely going to see more of those pop up here in the days ahead. So be extra cautious. I know a lot of people like to get out and enjoy the end of summer here, do a little bit of camping, get out into nature. But if you're going to be anywhere around anything that could start a fire, or if you're considering going camping, use extra precaution out there and watch out for those burn bans. I bet we're going to see those coming here soon. And speaking of the drought, we all know it impacts our crops and of course our farmland as well, but dairy farmers are also now feeling the impact. This is video from severe drought like you saw starting to pop up there here in Ohio. It's impacting the hay farmers there, which will quickly trickle down to dairy farmers. One farmer says he was able to harvest, but just enough to feed his own cattle, and there's not much left over for his customers.
My customers, I'm going to come up short. I sold a lot of my first crop thinking we were going to get a better second crop than we did.
From May until sometime in November, they're generally out grazing. If they're not, that means that not only are we not making hay right now to help feed them through the winter, but they're already burning right through the reserves that we're supposed to feed them all winter long.
Farmers say the drought has impacted maple trees as well, but they won't know just how much until tapping season in March. And that northeast drought not just impacting farming, but recreation as well. Boaters have been getting stuck in Lake Champlain due to low water levels. WCAX's Abigail Sachs got to talk to a towing company about some of those rocky spots in the water.
Lake Champlain continues to get more shallow, revealing rocks in some places you wouldn't expect. Dockhand and South Hero James White says in the 4 years he's been here, he's never seen the lake like this. They have to move some of their clients' boats to a new spot.
It's pretty bad. This whole area behind me, we can't drive a boat through or park a boat on any of these docks. And a lot of our slips are so low that we've had to put them in other slips that are deeper and, kind of reassigning around.
Mike Wickenden owns a boat towing business, and he's been helping a lot more people than normal this time of year.
Last week there was a boat where the whole outdrive got ripped off, and then when that happens, the bellows or all the cables go back and forth. That opens up, and so it's like an instant 3-inch hole into your boat, and it doesn't take long for a boat to sink once that happens.
While he says you always should be aware in the water, these reefs and rocks can be found in some unexpected places. Last year, the lake was up much higher, and most of these shallow spots were covered up.
The water level was at something like 2 feet higher than it is right now. So a lot of these reefs that people are hitting now, they were low enough in the water where people could go over the reef and be oblivious and get by without hitting anything.
Wickenden says whenever boating, you should always use a chart plotter, which shows what's around or under your boat. He says not every boat comes with one, but you can get one on your phone through an app. If you're stuck, Wickenden says to call 911.
It shows your location on the lake, and then it shows you all the hazards around, and that is what people should have. If you try to navigate just by your depth finder, there's too many places on the lake where it looks like you're in 30 feet of water, and then the rocks come right up, and then suddenly you're aground.
While he does enjoy helping people, Wickenden says the lake's levels are concerning.
Seeing the lake something around average just means that everything's healthy and normal and nice. So seeing these extremes, it's fun because you don't get to see a lot of the areas that are out of the water right now, but it also is definitely concerning.
In South Hero, Abigail Sachs, Channel 3 News.
And a bit closer to home, the drought could be impacting our fall colors this year as well. Tim Durkin reports from State College, Pennsylvania, with the impacts drought regions could see.
It's still mid-September, and yet leaves are already scattered on the ground. Director of Horticulture and Operations at Penn State's Arboretum, Merrick Punsack, says we just experienced the driest August in more than 130 years, and a lack of rain is just one of the ways plants can be impacted.
There's sort of these 4 levers that you can kind of dial up, and they all kind of do their own little thing, right? So those 4 levers are your temperature, your precipitation, your light levels, and then stress.
All 4 impact how the fall colors appear. While Punsack doesn't know the future for certain, he has an idea of the colors you'll be able to see.
That's going to still drive up the beautiful yellows and oranges, so I think we'll still see that. But unfortunately, I do think the reds will probably be a little bit stunted. I don't think we're going to get as rich color in the reds and the deep purples as we'd probably like to see.
So if you're planning on going to any fall events like the Arboretum's Pumpkin Festival, there is a window of time you'll want to aim for to get the best chance at seeing the vibrant colors fall is known for.
Between October 12th and like October 24th, like kind of that period of time, I think where we're going to probably see the peak color.
Reporting in Center County, Tim Durkin, WTAJ News.
And finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. First up, from no water to water where you don't want it. A beachfront stilt home on the Outer Banks of North Carolina collapsed into the surf, bringing the total number of houses claimed by the Atlantic Ocean to 12 in the past 5 years. This was a 2-story home there at the end of Hatteras Island. It collapsed early this week on Tuesday. You can see those photos right there. They've been dealing with a storm that moved up the East Coast earlier this week, causing some of those beach areas to erode. And you can see the impacts of that water there on that lakefront as that house got swallowed up by the ocean. Hopefully everyone was out of that house before those waves came in. And finally, each fall, bears pack on the pounds by feasting on salmon to prepare for the winter. And this year's salmon run was especially strong, making for some seriously hefty contestants. It's Fat Bear Week out there for sure. Of course, it's not just about having the biggest bear belly. It's a battle to name the toughest survivors, and you can vote for your favorites. Voting kicks off this week with the younger bears leading the way into next week, where a winner will be crowned for September 30th. Of course, you can vote for those bears online at fatbearweek.org. Guys out there definitely enjoying some salmon, getting ready for that winter season. Speaking of the winter season, that's coming our way, but you wouldn't know it from the forecast out there, as our temperatures have remained stubbornly summer-like, even though the season is just about to come to an end. And as we continue that heat wave into this weekend, all eyes are on the end of the forecast to see if we can finally get some rainfall into the picture. Of course, coming up later tonight, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, he'll be here to break down the latest model data as we head toward the weekend. Get you ready for those high school night games tomorrow, when it's going to be pretty hot out there. And of course, keep our fingers crossed for that rain. Until then, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com. For now, though, have a great afternoon.